What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to show you how I go about collecting field bindweed. Now, field bindweed looks very similar to morning glory. In fact, it's in the morning glory family. But the field bindweed that we need today is going to have white flowers or really light pink flowers. So no blues or purples and any of this kind that we need. Now, this weed is known as bindweed because it wraps around other plants that are growing nearby. Just to get taller, it'll kind of climb up the plants. And you can see some scattered in the field behind me. Honestly, this is a farmer's worst nightmare. I hear it all the time. Field bindweed, I hate that crap. How do I get rid of it? But for it to be known as the cancer of weeds is really strange because it actually has cancer fighting properties, and it is very extremely good at treating breast cancer. And so today, that is why I am out here. I am out here to find morning glories, well actually field bindweed, in order to make a tincture out of it so I can naturally treat tumors. Now, the reason why field bindweed is something I'm seeking for natural breast cancer treatment is because it has been known as an entheogenic, okay? So it's an angiogenesis inhibitor. All right, now what that means, so angiogenesis is the process that your body goes through when it's growing new blood vessels. It's creating new blood vessels. And tumors live off of blood and the support of blood and getting an adequate supply of blood. And what an angiogenesis inhibitor does, like morning glory here, but this version is field bindweed, what it does is it actually cuts off the blood supply to the tumor. And then after that happens, the tumor atrophies and dies, gets very tiny, or completely disappears altogether. So angiogenesis inhibitors are super important to alternative cancer treatments. The RECNAC clinic in Kansas, not sure if you've heard of it. So RECNAC is cancer spelled backwards, but they've done lots and lots of studies with bindweed, field bindweed in particular, and for the treatment of breast cancer, and they have seen, and it's been shown in their clinical studies, to cut off the blood supply to that tumor. So it's a very, very helpful herb for us to use and to learn how to use and to not spray so we can't use it. Because if we're spraying our fields, we can't use bindweed. Now, it is June in Missouri, so bindweed is blooming right now. You can see my blooms on here. It's blooming beautifully. They kind of look like the trumpet flowers that you see on a morning glory. Oh, may have a bug in my shirt. Hang on. But so the leaves are a little kind of arrow lookish. But morning glory is easily identifiable in any field. You're going to see its beautiful flowers popping up. Again, this is field bindweed version of the morning glory, and so you want to look in the morning because the flowers are literally going to be closed for the rest of the day. So around noon, they're going to start to close down. I mean, it's around 11ish, 10:30 or 11 right now, and they're starting to do it, but they're still open. I can still see it. So I'm going to collect as much as I can, and I'm going to make a tincture with the flowers and the leaves. So that's what I'm doing. I have my little basket. But the flowers in general, you can make a tea with them. They are a great natural laxative. They relieve fever. They're great. The leaves you can also use, you can make a tea with them. You can use it as like a topical wash for a spider bite or to relieve bug bites, but mostly spider bites is what they're known for, the leaves. And then the root themselves is also a laxative and can be used different ways, and we can talk about more of that in another video. So right now, what I want to do is gather a bunch of herb for you, and I'll kind of talk about my tincturing process and what I do, what I use, and get at it. So I'm going to gather a bunch of the herb. Now, when you're getting bindweed, it's going to be wrapped around a plant. I mean, it's bound to the plant here. So you're really going to have to kind of scrape for it and get in with the other plants, because to get it, it's bound. And it's got little wraps on it and beautiful flowers. You can see its buds. It's going to be a long system. And look, it's wrapped around that piece of grass. You see it? Grass at the top, and the bindweed is just wrapped right around it. All right, so that's what you want. It's kind of tricky to get, but I need enough for about a half-gallon mason jar, so I'm hoping to get this entire basket full. That'd be nice. I won't do the whole video on it, but I'm gonna gather it a bit so you see kind of how tricky it is to get it out. So on some of the taller plants, it's gonna look so tall, right? And then you're gonna pull it out and realize I didn't even get it. That's so funny. Just wrapped really well. This one's wrapped really coolly. So let me show you some of this. Look how it's just wrapped right around there. And I'll clean that off because I don't need grass and grass seeds in this tincture, but bindweed's just amazing. It's so cool. And I mean, we obviously need it. If it's very hard to get rid of and grows everywhere because it's growing in North America and England. In fact, they're studying it a ton in England. The uses of it in cancer treatments and alternative cancer therapies. I mean, there's a lot of promise here due to its antiogenic properties. It's exciting, very, very exciting. And it's different from other cancer treatments that try to block the growth of the cancer cell themselves, itself. This one's different. It's cutting off the blood supply, it's going after it in a different way, and it's looking very promising. So I need this not only for people that have been asking me about cancer, breast cancer health and breast health in general, but also for myself. Yeah, so I'm an herbalist. I use my medicine. That's where I started doing it. I started to do it for myself and for my family. I was diagnosed with melanoma skin cancer. Do I believe I have cancer? No. But before I really knew a lot about what was going on and how to treat it the right way, I had some spots on my body removed before I realized that, hey, no need to cut it out. You can treat it, and you can find natural ways to do so. So as I've learned more and more, I've adapted to what I've learned and been using it and making it for 9 years now, and it's working out really well. So I love to learn more and more about it and the other alternative therapies you can use, and bindweed right now is one of the main ones that people are using to treat and fight and prevent cancer, just because of the angiogenic inhibiting property that it has. So I'm realizing this is going to take me a while to gather, so let me get started and let's talk about tincture. So tincture, the process of tincturing depends on what type of herb you're using. If you're using an herb that's water soluble or fat soluble, that depends on the type of menstruum what you're going to use to break down the herbal properties. So here with bindweed, it's water soluble. So we're going to be able to use vodka, I'd say 100 proof vodka as our menstruum. Should I go back and do a basic video of tincture, I wonder? Because I wonder if you guys understand what I'm saying. But what I do is I fill a jar. I take my fresh herbs here. I'm going to use the stem, the leaves, the flowers, all of it. And I'm going to stick it into a mason jar. First, I'm actually going to kind of cut it in there. I'll kind of cut it up. Look at this piece of grass I have. That's so funny. Just wrapped right around it. So I'll cut up, slide right off. That's so funny. Bindweed, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, the flowers are so beautiful. Oh. A bee. But they're really pretty. I love all morning glory in general, and then field bindweed, due to those just medicinal anti-cancer, breast cancer properties. It's probably my favorite. Don't tell the others, but very pretty. So anyways, what I would do is I would take a big mason jar, whatever size you want to use, and you're going to fill the jar with your fresh herbs. Okay? I'm going to cut it up, kind of cut it nicely into the jar. I'm not going to kill it, just going to cut it, get it in there, get as much surface area on each part of the plant material as possible. Get it into a jar and kind of press it down a little firmly to where it's filling, I'd say 3/4 of my jar. Now this can get firm if you like squish it down, but that's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to drop pieces into your jar and just kind of lightly tamp down. Then drop some more pieces and then lightly tamp down. After you've got your jar filled to the top, like where the lip is, then you're going to pour in your menstruum. Now, like I said, because bindweed is water soluble, I'm going to be able to use my alcohol menstruum. All right, and so the alcohol that I like to use is 100 proof. that means it's 50% water, 50% alcohol. Okay, and it's already mixed for me. I'm not adding more water to it. That's a question I get often. Don't add more water. It already is that due to its 100 proof nature. You're going to use that, fill your jar all the way up with your 100 proof vodka, put a lid on it that's nice and tight, and you're going to just kind of, oops, let me put these away. Kind of shake it up, and you're going to store it away for 4 to 6 weeks. The longer, the better. The best medicines have been stored for months, years, decades. It's insane, absolutely insane. And tinctures don't go bad, so their shelf life will maintain itself throughout the duration. Your jar is going to go bad before your lid's going to go bad before your tincture does. So the best thing that you can do is learn about some of the plants that are growing around you when they're naturally in season. And then after you know they're growing around you and they're naturally in season, find out what they can do for you. And then make separate tinctures that are specific to each plant. So the next video I'm going to be doing is going to be making a field bindweed tincture. And it's going to be steeping for 6 to 8 weeks is how long I like to steep them for. But you can do it 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm really excited to make that. I will meet you next time when we make our field bindweed tincture. Oh, and I guess one other thing really quickly. Others ask, what about tinctures for children? Well, in general, I like to use apple cider vinegar as your menstruum instead of the alcohol. It's still going to pull out a lot of those medicinal properties, but then the kid isn't having to, you're not giving alcohol to a minor. A lot of people use glycerin. Glycerin, I'm not a huge fan of glycerin. Not quite sure why. It is, so glycerin technically is an alcohol. So for those that want to avoid alcohol by using glycerin, not really doing it. It's technically an alcohol. And your body already makes it, and getting too much, some people say it causes issues with your body, and sugar production and there's a lot there. So I avoid it. I avoid glycerin altogether. And I only use it if I have to when I'm dealing with a fat soluble herb. So like if I'm trying to pull the smell from an herb, if I want to pull the smell from something and that's going to be a fat soluble thing I've got to do, okay, fine. I'll have my same mason jar, and 1/4 of my menstruum will be glycerin, and then the other 3/4 will be the alcohol, the 100 proof alcohol. And that way I'm still pulling out the properties that are water soluble and not just the properties that are fat soluble. And so using straight glycerin alone isn't good because you're not pulling out the other water soluble properties, but also because I think that's just too much glycerin, so I wouldn't do that. But if you have questions about water soluble and fat soluble, I can answer them below, and maybe I'll do some more videos on that if interested. But that is pretty much what I was doing out here. I'm going to continue. It's going to take me a while. I've got this little patch here, a little patch behind me. My husband's like, pull them all out. I will. So I'm going to get started, and then I will show you how to make tincture with this in another video. So if you have questions, let me know. But other than that, good luck and good health. Thanks.